This is the injury report presented by NYU Langone Health. Mets pitcher Sean Manaea has been on the IL since spring training due to a strained right oblique muscle, and now he's had a setback in his rehab. He's felt some elbow discomfort during his most recent rehab outing Friday at AAA Syracuse. So in today's injury report, we have Dr. Daniel Kaplan, Sports Orthopedic Surgeon at NYU Langone Health, to break down how the Mets and Manaea adjust to the setback, and so we can get some sort of idea on when he's going to finally join the squad. Doc, thanks for hopping on with us today. Mets, we got a lot of Mets fans. We got a lot to worry about with this team right now. And now we get some more bad news. Manaea was about a week away from making his season debut, but an MRI taken on Monday revealed a 7-millimeter loose body in his left elbow. Question number one, Doc, what the heck is a 7-millimeter loose body? And two, what did they see in the MRI to where they felt they had to give him a cortisone injection for it?
So a loose body you can think of as just like a pebble floating around in your shoe. So it's probably a little piece of bone that might have chipped off from repeated throwing. So it's a little buildup of calcium, a hard structure that's floating around in there. In terms of what that means, well, it's just like a pebble floating around in your shoe. So it can be painful if it's in the wrong spot, but if it's in a spot that's not limiting you, it might not make a huge difference. In terms of what they saw in the MRI, they probably saw a degree of inflammation and swelling. An injection for cortisone at its heart is an anti-inflammatory medication. So they must have seen a degree of inflammation that they thought might be limiting him that the cortisone could help resolve.
The team did say that he'll return to his minor league rehab assignment on July 1st or 2nd, and if all goes well, it could potentially debut 5 or 6 days after that. So it looks like he's going to miss the Subway Series July 4th weekend, but that puts him on pace to make his debut around July 6th through the 8th. Does that timeline sound about right to you?
Yeah, well, as a Yankees fan, I'm still glad they're pushing that back, so that's great. Yes, I do think that's fine. So it just depends on that loose body. If you ignore the loose body and it's just the cortisone and the inflammation, then totally, that's a completely accurate timeline. It really all just comes down to how much that pebble floating around there isn't affecting him. If he can range his elbow and have a full range of motion without that blocking him or, the bones crunching on that piece, then no problem with that timeline. The issue becomes if that pebble becomes more of an issue and stops him from being able to get maximum extension on his throwing motion. That's when you start having to talk about a small surgery to remove it to get rid of that pebble. So it just all depends on where it is and how it affects him to see how accurate that timeline will be.
All right, $1 million question here, Doc, because not everyone is a pitcher for the Mets and they don't get that same treatment as a Sean Manaea. Would you recommend cortisone injections for a non-professional athlete?
So that is actually even more of a $1 million question than you think. We use those all the time in the office. They are great for inflammation and getting people back and getting them over acute periods. In general, there's very little downside to cortisone, but there have been some studies that show it can, over long duration and multiple injections, damage cartilage. So we always want to be thoughtful when we do them. But yes, for the average person, if you're having an acute injury, particularly if you're a little bit older, maybe not a 15-year-old, but 35, 45, 55, it's certainly a good option.
All right, Doc, that's why NYU Langone is the best. Thanks for hopping on with us.
Of course, thanks for having me.